Okay. Hello and welcome. It's Tuesday,
Hello.
noon in my time zone. And what is it?
Evening.
5
Evening. No, it's 7 p.m. here.
7 p.m. here for Marianne in Portugal. So let's start our conversation with the earth. And I will start today because I have been the last week in Yellowstone, and Yellowstone facilitated me just a little bit.
Tell us more.
And it was really coming back and reading Facebook posts that were talking about survival and what you needed to know and how you needed to be and the skills you needed to have. And it actually reminded me of something that I was facilitated, a memory that came back of, the power over that humans have over nature. And yes, that allows for survival. But could we thrive instead of just survive? And that's a big question that I have, and that I became also aware of reading those Facebook posts, that we need to know this, that, and the other, and we skills that we need to acquire in order to survive. But what I learned in Yellowstone is how much is communion with the earth actually allowing us to thrive. And what do I mean with communion? And what do I mean with thrival versus survival? Survival still contains separation from the earth. It has an element of power over the earth, having the skills, the knowledge, the whatever, so I can survive. But what if I look at how did the indigenous people in different continents learn about the plants and learn about the healing powers of the plants when there was nothing before? And what if that came out of communion with the plants? That they talked to the plants and received what the plants were telling them. And that leads me into my experience that I had this time when I was in Yellowstone. I wanted to call in the buffalo, and nothing happened, and I had all kinds of conclusions and expectations, and so I let go of all of that, and then it happened, and I felt, oh God, that is too big. But it was coming from that sense of power over, until I realized communion actually is the buffalo having choice, heeding my request or not. And they chose to heed my request to facilitate me in really learning about communion. And it was only after I got out of this superiority and power over and all of that stuff that I actually could receive what they gifted me, and that I could acknowledge how much I am in communion with the earth, not in power over. And that is such a different space to be in. you know, and
Mm.
it allowed me to acknowledge the communion I had or I received from a buffalo last year that I hadn't acknowledged as such. So it really was a lot of inviting me to acknowledge the communion that I have with the earth, that I've had for years and that I never acknowledged. It baffled me, and I said, "Yeah, how did that happen?" And but I never acknowledged that it was based on communion. And how much could we thrive actually if we went to communion? And in that context, I really want to put a plug on my favorite book, or my one of my two favorite books, which is by Gary Douglas, called The Place. And that
Mhm.
really talks about the communion with the earth and not being separate and not having power over and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful for sharing all of this and receiving really the energy you are speaking of and from. It's, and do you know what came for me while listening to you was, hmm, communion. Even that word for me, up till now, was something I separated me from as something, being in communion is hard work, is remembering so much, is
Mm.
working. And now with this energy you present and are, it's so clear that it's ease. Being in communion is ease. It's not hard work. It only requires to be and to let go of judgment, expectations,
Mhm.
structures, definitions, whatever. And that energy you spoke about of the survival is some I can relay where I come from also. And then you mention the plants, how it was for the medicine woman or those men, the medicine man. And really, during listening to you, perceiving it, that's communion. It can be so easy. Only listening, being the space, being the space with everything, with yourself, with everything around you, and listening and receiving.
It's actually what I have come to realize during that week is it's me being me, truly who I am, not according to the images my parents had of me, my teachers had of me, friends had of me, whatever, but me truly being me. That is what makes communion easy.
Yeah, that's the energy I got from you, and that's
Mhm.
so yummy. But opened up really my space of being me, and we are different.
Mhm.
You are you, and I am
You're you.
myself. So yeah, it yeah, there is something different now. And I started to read again the book The Place you mentioned. And the difference now when reading, because I allow myself now to receive the energy that's speaking from the book. The book is speaking about. Before, I was reading it like the survivor, like
Mm.
I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna learn from it, and that separation still. And now started, and even yesterday evening, I was reading in the book, and it was so much more space now, and I could so much more receive and perceive also. It was not only receiving, there was also so much more possible to perceive the possibilities of the possibilities.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really, we have a certain level of possibilities based on this reality, like what was talked about in those Facebook posts. You have to do this, that, and the other in order to survive. Those are the possibilities according to this reality.
And isn't that, Karina, that we are learned from this even
Mhm.
scientific, huh? How do you say it?
Scientific.
So, yeah, tell more. It's an interesting
And
energy.
it is so much more if we are willing to go into communion. Then can what can the earth teach us? Uh, because the earth is supporting life. And this may sound like hubris in light of all the fires that are going on. And the fires we define are killing stuff. But is that killing the short term version versus the earth has a longer term version? I mean, I'm keenly aware of climate change is basically changing the places that plants and animals can live in the new climate.
And could it also be that we are invited by Earth to move and go and live on other sides of the Earth? Because
Mm-hmm.
planets, they are speaking about we are crowded, overcrowded. The Earth is overcrowded. But truth, is it? Or could it be that there are places the Earth is gifting us that we still wouldn't receive from?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the energy that came in, like we are going through this insanity of the COVID, as all that survivor and all those definitions and superiority as you have to do this and do it in that way and at that time, to whatever it is. It's good for the earth, it's good for you, it's good for whatever. It's everything is in boxes,
Mm-hmm.
lines.
And I think one of the big things is that as a sudden now officially death is wrong.
Yeah, but we are, so many people are in reaction and fight also against this superiority of the governments.
Mm-hmm.
But aren't we doing the same with the earth?
Good question.
That's something now for me, it's more clear, like so many years. We, yeah, we put it, our rules and our visions and our point of views, what was required to the harvest, what was required for the florist, what was required for the animals, what was required for us. So
And
what can we learn here also to, and it's not from the side of being wrong or bad, or what if we can acknowledge how we act in a similar way with the earth as the governments now act on us humans, and where we don't like it so much, and where we are looking for possibilities. And isn't it that what the earth always showed us? Whatever you do, there is another possibility for me,
Yeah.
and I go with that.
And the earth is affirming life,
For
no matter
sure.
what. Okay, things change. Then I'll adapt, I'll change, so life can continue to flourish.
Yeah.
And what it it's not an easy task for most people, but what if we can go there and really look at in which way is the earth teaching us about adapting? Because climate change, and we need to do this and we need to do that, and da 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 da, uh, is basically trying to control things into how they have been for, I mean, we've been measuring weather and temperatures and so on for maybe 200 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If I look at Earth history, is
Yeah.
that still valid?
And what I pick up now, Karine, is something really interesting. Is it? There was some in my awareness now as people judging this, like, yeah, but if you adapt to the climate change, then you don't have to bother with the plastic, you don't have to bother with the environment, you don't have to bother. But that's not
No,
what you are speaking about.
no, that's not.
That's not.
What we definitely need to change is uh, move from the disrespect that we have about the earth to a respectful interaction with the earth.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of, you know, things in and of itself. And recycling is not going to change climate change. And not to say that recycling is not something we should be doing,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
it is from a respect towards the earth instead of trying to keep things the same, which is a totally different attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a, that's some to expand on. Like, wow. Yeah. So what I hear, and perhaps I didn't hear it well, is in a in a way that making recycling as a really important and one way to save the environment is at the same time also saying we are recycling, but what do we recycle? The same and the same and the same and the same. So we always go back and we go back and we go back. So what is this recycling means if there isn't any change and expansion about, like you say, respect,
Mm-hmm.
gratitude, possibility. Because is recycling, that's the question that comes now for me, is recycling really possibilities? Or is it already, it came from a possibility, but during the years, recycling is already a form, a definition, a limitation.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And recycling, we interpret as caring for the earth. But is it really, does it have anything to do with communion with the earth?
Yeah.
And is
Yeah.
that moving into communion with the earth is actually what is creating the change? Because science doesn't ask questions beyond the how have things been and what do we need to do to put them back to where they have been.
Yeah.
That's the extent of the questions that science is asking. Science is not asking, Earth, what do you require?
Yeah.
No, we know that this is how it works.
That for granted, for
Yeah,
granted, this is how it works and it will be forever.
yeah.
Yeah. As it isn't possible because the earth is a living creature, is an entity that grows and regenerates and generates
And is conscious.
and is conscious. That and is
Of
conscious.
course, humanity isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And never took anything for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, Karina, when we have our conversations and when I'm also in my conversations with the earth in general, every day there is more joy, more joy. My body alive. And when I'm having this conversation, and how would it be if perhaps I could acknowledge more that we are more in communion. I am more in communion with the earth than I ever thought I was when
Mm-hmm.
having these conversations. And yeah, wow, yeah,
And, you know, ultimately, we are energetic beings. So, what contribution could we be to the earth if we are in communion and not power over? You know, I have been doing that for the last since I came back for the last few days in the morning. Is so Earth, how can I contribute to you?
yeah,
And that may be just being joyful. That may be gifting some energy that the earth requires in order to do with it what the earth needs to do with it, not based on, oh, this is good energy and this is bad energy, and I don't want to give bad energy to the earth. The earth doesn't care. Energy is energy.
yeah,
And that is ultimately true for everybody. Energy is energy. It's just us humans that have to judge everything into good and bad.
yeah. And do you know, Karina, today, as I ask also every morning, what contribution can I be? And most of the time, there is an energy, whatever that energy is. And today there was a fraction I wanted to go into judgment because it looked like there wasn't any energy, which isn't possible. And I know, so I didn't went into the judgment and it was what it was. But then when I was creating And there are new possibilities that came up yesterday and already are moving and actualizing. And when I was making some graphics for it and writing some text about it, I became aware of the gratitude I received from Earth. And I knew this is the contribution I be in this moment for Earth, with Earth. So what what if we really let go of every expectation or form, structure, definition as though like in general there was every day an energy and then this morning it looked like it wasn't and suddenly it looks like, oh, today it looks like I'm not a contribution. I can be, I want to be, I like to be, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But by not choosing, not going in all those judgments, then there was also the space for me, and I chose it, to receive that contribution can be everything,
Yeah.
can be everything, because everything is energy. And I know Gary said it so many times, and then we hear it so many times in access that your joy, your happiness, that you truly be, that's your nature,
Mm-hmm.
that even is a bigger, in a matter of speaking, that is the contribution Earth really can thrive on also. So, yeah, how much more joy can we invite in our daily life?
You mean
And choosing. It's not only inviting, it's also choosing to be it.
you mean getting out of trauma and drama?
Oh, yeah, that's not
And
possible.
that is coming
Oh,
from a drama queen. I mean, I used to be a drama queen. I love drama.
yes,
And
a
what,
drama queen who controls, perhaps?
uh-huh.
Hmm.
Drama is actually what I became aware of, an incredible tool of manipulation.
Yeah. And
And
how often do we see it? And I was thriving on that energy also when I don't feel it, when I don't have the emotion, when there is not that intensive energy, it looks like I don't exist because, yeah, what when I don't feel anything, when everything is smooth and happy and open and space, then
mhm.
it looks like there is nothing.
Yep. And that is what I experienced in Yellowstone, that when I was done with being facilitated by the earth, there was an incredible sense of joy. But how much have we identified joy with almost a manic behavior? And that
Mm,
was not what I was experiencing. It was incredible space, it was incredible peace, and it was incredible joy. But it was a very quiet joy. A joy about being alive, a joy about being part of the earth, a gratitude for just having received this incredible facilitation by the earth, that I didn't have to go manic.
no, and it was really vibrant. It
Yeah.
was like dancing. It was yeah, 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 yeah. I hear you, and yeah, yeah. I know that energy also as, and that's also the energy of joy I was speaking about in these conversations, in the conversations I have
Mhm.
when I'm being in that communion with myself, with everything around me, then there is that joy.
Yeah.
And even though I can sit with that joy as like a serious face, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's so vibrant, that it is
Mhm.
there. And yeah, what else is possible if we allowed
Mhm.
ourselves to be that joy every day, every second? What else is possible? And isn't it, Karina, that joy invites also, I'm gonna call it a full silence, as the space of silence,
Mhm.
where everything is. So it's full of life, it's full of joy, and no words are required anymore because you be.
Maybe we can tap into that next week.
Good idea. Good idea.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because up till now, still, even though I can be the space and the joy, it's still it isn't the 24 hours a day. I be that, and I acknowledge that, and that's fine.
mhm.
That's okay. And at the same time, every day I choose more again the earth as my teacher. So I'm curious where that can lead to.
The earth is a very potent teacher if we allow
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
if we allow it. So
Yeah.
yeah, then we are up with our time.
We are up with our time and we'll come back next week, Tuesday at noon,
Yes.
usual time. So
Thank you, Karina, and thank you for your sharing. It was so yummy, 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 yummy. A yummy energy. Thank you.
it was an incredible experience. Yeah. I really
Okay, so
okay.
have a good rest of your day, and I will enjoy my evening.
Yeah. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.